Moff Gideon is informed by Elia Kane of the Mandalorians' intent to retake their planet. Gideon relays this information to the Shadow Council, a group of Imperial remnant warlords. He requests reinforcements from them and questions Captain Pelion on the absence of Grand Admiral Thrawn, suggesting that the Council should choose a new leader. Reassembling on Navarro, Bo-Katan unites the Mandalorian clans and prepares a recon party to explore the surface of Mandalore. Prior to leaving, Greef Karga presents Din Djarin with IG-12, a rebuilt version of IG-11, which is able to be controlled by Grogu. On Mandalore, the group meets up with another clan loyal to Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan admits she surrendered to Gideon near the end of the Great Purge, hoping that the Empire would spare the Mandalorians. The party finds the Great Forge, but is ambushed by Gideon's enhanced stormtroopers. Djarin is captured by Gideon, who reveals his intent to create a new army of dark troopers. He attempts to kill the remaining Mandalorians, but Bo-Katan uses the dark saber to make an escape for the group, with Paz Vizsla staying behind to buy time. Vizsla fights off the stormtroopers, but is killed by Gideon's Praetorian guards.
Thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T, and that is the synopsis for episode 7 of the third season of The Mandalorian. This is chapter 23 entitled The Spies. And who's the spy? Elia Kane? Right? Who's the spy? Could be the armorer. Maybe she's working with the Empire. Who knows? We see some connections in this episode, a name that pops up, and I'm like, I didn't recognize that last name from, the sequel trilogy in Star Wars, Hux. Now, we remember Armitage Hux, who is the leader of the First Order. And here we see a character that plays his father. And they look familiar, the two actors, because the both actors are brothers. And of course the father is Brendel Hux. And we see kind of seeds being planted and things happening that's going to lead to what happens in the future with the First Order. We see the arrival and the appearance of Moff Gideon in all his glory. He's looking to plant, almost like he's looking to do a hostile takeover of the Shadow Council. He's approached by Elia Kane, who tells Moff Gideon of the intent of the Mandalorians to retake their planet, retake Mandalore. And he goes to the Shadow Council, and right away he notices the absence of Grand Admiral Thrawn. We know his name, and those of us who know are very familiar with who he is. And Captain Pelion is there and pretty much taking the brunt of all of his questions. And to me, like I said, he wants to suggest a new leader, because where is Thrawn? Every time he goes, even like it's said throughout the galaxy that every time they're looking for him, he's not there. Maybe they should have a new leader appointed. Is this what Grand Moff Tarkin, about to say that, Moff Gideon is intending? Does he want to do a hostile takeover and take over leadership from Grand Admiral Thrawn? So that's that, and we're seeing those plans in motion and stuff like that. And he's also talking about the Project Necromancer, and from what I read and from what I know, that's something that has to do with Snoke later on, and also the, what do you call that? resurrection, if you will, of Palpatine, of the Emperor, because necromancer has something to do with raising the dead, right? So we have that. But what I like about this is, of course, I have nothing but love for the little guy, for Grogu. And here he gets to be able to control something that at one time wanted to kill him, and that is IG-11. He was programmed to take out the child as we knew him then. But what's the name of them little dudes? What the name of them little guys? And Zelens, right? And they were able to take out the memory chip or something like that that controlled him, that gave IG-11 that mindset, the programming that he needed to take out the child. And pretty much he ended up being just a craft, just a controllable robot. And Grief Karga gives him to Din Djarin, and he puts a little guy inside the IG-12 now, and it's not IG-11 no more. And he has like a yes and a no button. And Din Djarin's like, okay, you don't need to do this. I'm gonna get you out of there. You don't need to. We don't need this. I mean, because I think Din Djarin wanted to have it as a workable robot, not something that is controlled. And when he was saying things and Grogu wasn't in agreement, he's like, no, pressing the no over and over again. And he's saying yes when when Grief Karga is saying let him control it, let him take it for a spin inside my office. Even when they left and they were in the town there, and you hear him pressing yes over and over again. And you got to give Din Djarin props for him being so patient, just like a child who has a new toy and they keep pressing the button. Like you have those Buzz Lightyear and Woody and all those other things that have that thing. You press it and it says those lines from movies and stuff like that, and just keep doing it over and over again. It's like those dogs. You see those videos, and then those dogs have those buttons that they press. They want a snack, they say yes, And there's that one dog that every time it got really old, where the dog kept saying bitch every, when he didn't like something. But and then you see him controlling the IG-12, and he's all over the place, all clumsy and stuff like that. He got the hang of it later on, even when they were in battle against the Dark Troopers. Well, I think he wanted to create those, but he had he had the stormtroopers that were Beskar enhanced, and even his armor that he was wearing when they actually captured the Mandalorians, looking pretty good, man, with the helmet on and everything like that. And they did that, and of course we see the passing and the death of one of the favorite characters. A lot of people liked him. He came a long way. I mean, there's history about him and his ancestors and how they were not looked down on pretty favorably, and he kind of restored the honor of his past family. That's past Vizsla. When they were caught in those what do you call those doors? Those should have wrote it down. I should have think, but it's blast doors, and they were trapped in there. And then he pretty much was saying to Bo-Katan, Grief Karga, pretty much said, hand that over, give it to its rightful owner. But you find out later on that he really didn't win it in battle. So there's questions about Moff Gideon and what he says about himself. I mean, he kind of looks like a snake, kind of like a guy who's lying, and he's trying underhanded things. He's trying to convince the Shadow Council to get someone new, and he's like kind of going wink wink, maybe you can hire me to be the new leader. Where's Thrawn? He's nowhere to be seen. But she's like, nope, we're not gonna do that. And she wields the dark saber and she cuts a hole on the other side through the blast door, and all of them are able to escape. She's waiting on Paz Vizsla, but he refuses and he just closes the blast door behind him. She comes back and she tries to, punch at it, hit it with the thing. There's nothing she can do. So she leaves and he's there and he takes out all of the stormtroopers, knocks two of them off of the railing there, or what you want to call it. And then these three Praetorian guards, Gideon's guards, all in red. And we see them very prominently in the sequel trilogies and the sequel franchise of that part of Star Wars. And they triple team him and they kill him. One hits him in the gut, sticks him in the gut. One's, puts one on his leg and the back of his knee. Makes him kneel, makes him, collapse down. And then the other one takes one and just sticks it in his shoulder and he just pushes it in. And then they all three of them at the same time retract their sabers. And then he collapses and dies. But I really, really liked the fight scene. I like when they were ambushed, when they arrived at the Great Forge. I mean, the first time they got there, they were there, and then it's the people that they met up with. They were there during the Great Purge, and they knew who Bo-Katan was and that they were still loyal to her. They even called her Milady and all that stuff. And they took him there, and they were on, I think it looks like a pirate barge. And then they took him there. They found that, and then there was this big old creature, this big old monster. Oh my God! I think people are gonna complain about it. Oh, another thing of monsters. All these fucking people that complain. That just want to complain about everything. It's great to have these. What do you think Star Wars is about? You didn't watch the first trilogy. You didn't see the things that they came up against, Rancors and stuff like that, and those abominable snowman-looking things, and Empire Strikes Back, and all this stuff. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it interesting. You got to give these guys adversity, right? And then, after they were able to duck and go into the caves and kind of get duck away from that was it. There was nothing left. There was nothing to it no more. They didn't show it. That was just it. And then they ended up coming face to face with those Beskar enhanced stormtroopers, and they fought to the end, and they fought valiantly. But their mistake was when those two of them, or a handful of them, were retreating, and they followed them, Bo-Katan's orders. They're retreating. I mean, that's what Paz Vizsla said when he came down. When he was in the air and he came down to land down, he's all like they're retreating, and then they go and follow them, and then they end up being trapped. And then again, like I said, that's like I already talked about it earlier. We know what happens after that. But I really enjoyed it. I really, really like this. One more episode, and then it's going to be, that's the season finale next week, I believe, right? But yeah, I mean, they found a place, but then they were ambushed. They lost a guy who was very much a leader and someone who was their strength when it came to their, to their group there, the Mandalorians. Paz Vizsla, I mean, his son now is without a father. His last words to him were, get the children out, get the children to them, get them out of here, get them, because, he wanted them to be safe. How much he loved his son, and how much he was in debt, and he, really did end up being good friends and respecting, Din Djarin, because he helped him save his son. He risked his life, really, But a lot of things in this thing that really, really has ties to the First Order, and the trilogy. Even though sequel trilogy people are still up in arms about it, I mean, there's an announcement of a standalone movie for Rey. I know people are gonna really love that. I had no problem with it. You can call me whatever fucking name you want to call me. I didn't have a problem with the sequel trilogy. I enjoyed them, but like I've always said in the past in all my videos, I understand why people didn't like them. I can understand that. But when I see movies, when I watch movies, I go in there to be entertained, and if it entertains me, that's fine. Then later on, I'll be like, okay, I can understand why people didn't like it, but you know. Anyway, before I end this, I'm going to talk about people out there complaining about this turning into the Bo-Katan show. Did you guys ever think that, from what I last heard, that she still has a series of her own coming? And maybe this is a way to kind of show her in a light, and a way that you could see her. How is she able to, to be a front runner or somebody that can lead a show of their own? Katie Sackhoff is doing a great job as Bo-Katan, and I think she really, really does show leadership. She's doing a lot of showing of leadership in this episode, in this last, couple episodes. She's really stepped up, and I honestly think that's the reason why. Because why is anybody going to be interested in her if she's just going to be the same person that she was ever since she appeared in the Mandalorian show? But that's just me. I see that a lot of people probably don't see it, but that's probably what I'm thinking. Why? And I don't mind it. I really don't. If it's written well and if it's shown in a way that it doesn't take away from the show, and kind of adds to it, I have no problem with it. It kind of, to me, it adds to the show. And then they're talking about a possible love story between the two, and you saw hints of it when he was talking to her, and she kind of smiled and saying stuff like he, admires her or looks up to her or whatever he said, but he said it in a way that he said to her that I'll be there for you and if you need anything, kind of a thing. You already see how they are with Grogu, when she was leading the Mandalorians, to find the Great Gorge. She had Grogu in her lap, and so funny because she said something, and Din Djarin had his reservations. He kind of said, I don't know, something like that, and then you see Grogu look behind, like, are you sure, Dad? Are you ready? I think that's funny. I like too is when what's that? When Grogu, because what do you call it? Ex-Wolves and Paz Vizsla, they have a fight on that barge. And when they're about to really, really lay into each other, I mean, they're looking to stick each other, really, really go out to take the other one out. In comes Grogu inside IG-12 and puts his hands on both of them like this to keep them apart. And Bo-Katan is like, wow, your apprentice, or your, what did she say? He's really, Grogu, really learned a lot from you. Like, he's really learning well. He's, like that. Your apprentice, right? And he's all, I didn't teach him. And then he looks right at Grogu. He nods like this, and Grogu's like this. He nods back. Like, he's starting to get to the point now where he understands. You see the mannerisms, you see his response, you see how he will react to people and understand what they're saying and things like that. And he's slowly but surely just picking stuff up. And I can't wait to see the development of his character. I just hope that the show goes on for a while so that we can see him. Maybe he's gonna have his own show one day when he's grown and talking and all that stuff. Who knows, But that's pretty much the pretty much what I want to say about this. A lot of things that came up, like I said, and a lot of things that are setting up for the future of Star Wars. Well, it's the future that's already known, but what I mean, future of this universe where they're at right now. What Moff Gideon is planning has everything to do that connects with the whole thing of the First Order, like stuff like that. Necromancer and everything, Project Necromancer. The mention of Admiral Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn. What is his real intention? Is he going to look to kind of take over and kind of unseat him? His character is very questionable. I mean, yeah, of course he's a villainous, evil guy, but there are things he's doing that it's just like, is he really what he's all he's cracked up to be, kind of thing. But anyway, that's my video. So for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. And in closing, as always, take care.